Greetings and welcome to Monday Morning Coffee. I pray that God the Father will grant you all grace and peace and mercy all week long. Now, the Olympics ended just over a week ago, and we've had a study coinciding with the Olympics called Training to Be a Christian. And though the Olympics have already ended, we have one more episode of this left, and that's today. Next week, we are going to get back into our study on the fruit of the Spirit, and you aren't going to want to miss it. Now, our key scripture for today is going to come from 2 Timothy chapter 4, beginning in verse number 6. For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. In the future there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. As the dust is settling on the 2016 Olympics, we've had time to reflect upon them. There have been winners and there have been losers, those who have medaled and those who have not. We've seen examples of great joy with records broken, and we've seen just the opposite, great sadness, as medals have been stripped from competitors, and even worse, cases where competitors have made bad decisions that has disgraced themselves, their teams, and their countries when they should otherwise be celebrating. In the Christian walk, things are different though. While we fight a very real battle, a spiritual battle with a real Satan and real demons who are using real weapons to fight a real God, we aren't in competition with one another. We aren't trying to see who can knock on the most doors, teach the most Sunday school classes, bring the most people to church, or even say the sinner's prayer with the most people. We aren't in that kind of competition with one another. Our only real competitor in that sense is ourself. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a chalkboard up in heaven documenting whether you've got more good deeds than bad deeds at the end of your life, and that determines the status of your salvation. It's not that way at all. However, there is a very real battle of darkness and light in our day-to-day lives, and every day one of those two wins. Our goal is in that competition for light to win as often as possible, for us to be seeking to glorify God the best we can each and every day. Flip Wilson used to say, "The devil made me do it." And there are a lot of Christians who believe that. They embody that in their day-to-day lives, using it as an excuse or a crutch to not seek to glorify God in their day-to-day actions. And that, my friends, is a lie from the devil. Satan himself does tempt us, but more often than not, we are lazy in our Christianity and we are not seeking to glorify him. Now, there's an inner struggle going on all the time, and Paul writes about that inner struggle quite a bit in the New Testament. One place he does that is Romans chapter 7 and 8, and I encourage you to read those two chapters in their entirety. And it's important because you need to get the full message of what he's saying. Now, we're going to focus on just one point of that, which comes out of Romans chapter 8, beginning in verse number 12. So then, brethren, we are under obligation not to the flesh, to live according to the flesh. For if you are living according to the flesh, you must die. But if by the Spirit you are putting to death the deeds of the body, you will live. For all who are being led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. Back to our primary passage from 2 Timothy chapter 4. Paul is reflecting upon his own life in this passage, and he is referring to his actions or his life as a drink offering. Now, the drink offering was an interesting offering in the Old Testament. Many of the sacrifices or offerings could be partaken of by the priests or maybe even the person who gave the offering, but not the drink offering. It was poured out in total upon the altar. And I think that's what the point is that Paul is trying to make, is that everything he's accomplished in his life is not his own. It is a drink offering poured out or given to the Lord, a way of glorifying God through his actions. Paul then acknowledges that he has fought the good fight. He has kept the faith. He has followed the course. I think that's a lot like a saying I heard years ago, living life with no excuses and no regrets. Paul has given no excuse for his Christianity or what he needed to accomplish, and he has no regrets. And as such, because of his love for the Lord, he has a crown of righteousness awaiting him in heaven. And the same is true for all of us that love the Lord. There is a crown of righteousness awaiting us. Paul's words to us here are an encouragement. They are an example to us of how we should live, living our life with no excuses and no regrets with regards to how we glorify the Lord. And when we are finished here, when this physical life is done, and we go on to our real life, the eternal, the spiritual, we'll run that victory lap, knowing that we poured our lives out as a drink offering for our God. Now remember, as you go out into this week, that is our primary role, to glorify Him in everything we do. And the world in which we're doing that is our mission field. Now, go out and reflect Jesus into it.